He crashed into her world by accident. Now she'll spill the blood of anyone who tries to claim him. The fungi pulsed blue-green beneath Talia's boots as she collected spore samples, their soft light painting her azure skin in shifting shadows. 3 years mapping this forest sector, and the ecosystem still surprised her. She pressed her scanner against a cluster of phosphorescent caps, watching the data stream across her visor. The night air carried the thick sweetness of blooming nightshade vines and the mineral tang of the nearby mineral springs. Then the sky screamed. She spun, weapon clearing its holster before conscious thought. A ship, human design, she recognized the crude angular construction, tore through the canopy trailing fire and shrapnel. Trees exploded into splinters. The craft hit the forest floor 200 meters east, the impact shockwave knocking her to one knee. Secondary explosions followed, orange blooms against the violet sky. Talia's ears flattened against her skull. Humans, here, in her research zone. She moved through the forest with practiced silence, her people's predatory heritage evident in every step. Smoke billowed from the crash site, acrid and chemical. The ship's hull had peeled open like overripe fruit, metal still glowing red. She approached from downwind, her enhanced senses parsing the chaos of smells, burning fuel, scorched earth, blood. And something else. Human blood had a distinct copper sweetness her people found revolting, but underneath it, something strange. Modified. "Come out," she called in flawless human standard, her voice carrying the subtle growl of her species. "Come out or burn with your ship." Movement near the cockpit. A figure emerged through the smoke, staggering. Male, she assessed immediately, tall by human standards, broad-shouldered despite the clear injuries, dark hair matted with blood. He wore tactical gear, all black, most of it torn or burned. His right arm hung wrong. He looked at her with eyes the color of Earth's ocean. She'd seen images in her xenological studies. Those eyes met hers without flinching, without the fear most humans showed when facing her people. Pain tightened the corners of his mouth, but his jaw remained set. "You going to shoot me or just stand there looking beautiful?" he asked, his voice rough with smoke inhalation. Talia's finger tightened on her weapon's trigger. The audacity, the sheer human audacity of standing there bleeding and broken and making observations about her appearance. Her tail lashed once behind her, a sign of agitation. "I should," she said, circling him slowly. He turned to keep her in view, favoring his left side. Ribs broken, probably. "You're trespassing in a restricted scientific zone. My planet, my rules." "Didn't exactly plan the scenic route," he said. Something in his pocket sparked, and he grimaced. "Ship's fusion core is destabilizing. We have maybe 3 minutes before it goes critical." Talia processed this, her analytical mind warring with protocol. She should let him die, report the crash, let the military handle the contamination. But her research station was only a kilometer away, and she'd spent 3 years building it. A fusion core detonation would level everything within 2 kilometers. "Move," she snapped, grabbing his good arm. The contact sent an unexpected jolt through her. His skin was hot beneath her palm, fever warm compared to her species' cooler biology. "My transport is northwest." He moved faster than she expected, despite the injuries. Training, she realized. Military training. They reached her hoverbike just as the ship's warning systems began their death shriek. She mounted, and he swung on behind her, his weight settling against her back. His arm wrapped around her waist, and even through her field suit, she felt the heat of him. The bike screamed to life. They'd barely cleared 50 meters when the core went. The explosion hit like a physical wall, white light washing out her vision. The bike skipped sideways, and she felt his grip tighten, keeping them both mounted. Then they were racing through the forest, trees blurring past, the fireball blooming behind them like a second sun. Her station's lights appeared through the canopy. She brought the bike down in the landing zone, killed the engine, and turned to find him already sliding off, swaying on his feet. "Inside," she ordered, not allowing herself to think about what she was doing, "before orbital surveillance picks up that explosion." Her station was designed for solitude, sparse, functional, built into the massive root system of an ancient great oak. She guided him to converted storage rooms she'd equipped for field emergencies. He sat heavily on the examination table, leaving blood smears on the sterile surface. "You have a name?" she asked, pulling out her medical scanner and cutting away what remained of his jacket. His torso was a canvas of bruises and cuts. "Jace," he said after a pause. "Jace Merrick." "Talia." She ran the scanner over him, data flooding her screen. 3 broken ribs, fractured ulna, concussion, extensive bruising. But underneath the trauma, something else caught her attention. His cellular structure showed markers that shouldn't exist in baseline humans. Genetic modification, extensive and illegal by both their people's laws. "You're not just a pilot." "No," he admitted, watching her with those 2 blue eyes. "I'm not." She pulled up his blood analysis, her professional curiosity overriding caution. The modifications were military-grade, designed for enhanced reflexes, accelerated healing, increased sensory processing. Black Ops work. Shadow soldiers, the kind humans didn't officially acknowledge. "Your crash wasn't mechanical failure," she said slowly, pieces connecting. "You were sabotaged." His silence was answer enough. Talia stood, scanner in hand, and studied this human who'd fallen into her world. Everything about this violated protocol. Harboring him would be career suicide. Her people's prejudice against humans ran deep. They saw them as scavengers, parasites spreading through the galaxy without respect for established territories. If her superiors learned she'd saved one, let alone brought him to her station. But she found herself asking anyway. "Who wants you dead?" "Long list," he said, a bitter smile crossing his face. "But today, my own people." The answer settled in her chest like ice. Whatever this human had done, whatever secrets he carried, they were dangerous enough to warrant assassination by his own military. She should contact planetary security immediately. Should have him sedated and contained before he became a threat. Instead, she found herself preparing a bone knitter and pain suppressants. "This will hurt," she warned, moving to his side. Close enough to smell him beneath the blood and smoke, something warm and distinctly human that her people found primitive. But standing this near, she understood why humans built their civilizations around physical closeness. There was a heat to him that her cold-blooded logic couldn't quite dismiss. "Most things do," he said, then hissed when she aligned the fractured bone in his arm. She worked in focused silence, her hands steady despite the chaos of her thoughts. The bone knitter hummed as it encouraged accelerated healing. He barely flinched, that iron control holding. Her people prided themselves on pain tolerance, but watching this human endure without complaint stirred something unexpected. Respect, perhaps. Or the beginning of something more dangerous. "Why save me?" he asked finally. Talia met his eyes, her hand still pressed against his arm. "I don't know." The truth settled between them, electric and undeniable. Outside, sirens began to wail in the distance. The explosion had been noticed. Her world was about to become very complicated. But looking at this broken human who faced her without fear, who carried secrets in his modified blood, who'd crashed into her ordered existence like a meteor, Talia found she didn't care. "Rest," she said, stepping back before she did something foolish. "We have a few hours before they start asking questions." What she didn't tell him, what she hadn't yet shown him on the scanner, was the anomaly in his blood work, the signature of a tracking beacon, still active, broadcasting his location to whoever had tried to kill him. They were already being hunted. Dawn broke violet across the forest canopy. Talia hadn't slept, her focus locked on the tracking signature embedded in Jace's bloodstream. The encryption was military-grade, sophisticated beyond her station's capabilities to crack. Her comm unit chimed. "Researcher Talia, this is Planetary Survey Control. Seismic event detected in your sector at 2347 Standard. Require status confirmation." She'd prepared for this. "Survey Control, confirmed. Meteor strike, approximately 2 kilometers from my station. No damage to infrastructure." Silence stretched, then understood. Submit geological assessment by end of cycle. The connection severed, first line told, first line crossed. Smooth. She spun. Jace stood in the doorway, shirtless, his torso wrapped in regenerative bandaging. The bone knitter had worked overnight. His arm moved normally now, though bruises still mottled his skin. "You should be resting," she said. "Should be dead." He stepped into her workspace, eyes scanning her equipment. You lied to your government for me, why? Talia pulled up the tracking data on her screen. You have a beacon in your blood, military origin, broadcasting your location constantly. His expression hardened. Can you remove it? Not without killing you. It's integrated into your modified cells. She turned to face him. Whatever you were running from, they made sure you couldn't run far. I wasn't running, I was investigating. His jaw tightened. Disappearances, human colonists in this sector. 3 settlements, nearly 2,000 people, gone. Talia's breath caught. She knew exactly what he was talking about. The removal operations her people's military conducted on unauthorized human settlements. You know something, Jace said, reading her expression. My people view humans as parasites, she said quietly. The military has protocols for dealing with unauthorized colonies. Protocols? You mean murder? Yes. The word hung between them, brutal and honest. She waited for rage. Instead, grief crossed his face. They'll come for me, he said finally. They're already coming. That beacon has been broadcasting for 9 hours. Jace moved to her window, staring out at the forest. His back was a wall of tension, fists clenched. Talia found herself studying the lines of him, the way humans wore their emotions in their posture. I should leave, he said, before I make this worse for you. Leave and go where? Your ship is slag. The beacon will lead them straight to you. She crossed to stand beside him. You have no allies here. I have you. 2 words, said with such certainty they stole her breath. She looked up at him. You don't know me, she said. No, but you could have let me die, could have turned me over. Instead, you're standing here trying to figure out how to save me. Arrogant, she said, but the word lacked heat. Observant, his lips quirked. It's the training. Her comm chimed again. High Researcher Kyvan's face appeared on screen, his features sharp, eyes golden. Talia, I trust the meteor strike caused no issues? None, High Researcher. Excellent. We've received reports of possible human activity in the outer sectors. I need you to run a bioscan of your research zone. Standard protocols. Behind her, Jace had gone absolutely still. Of course, she said. I'll run the scan immediately. By end of cycle, please. The screen went dark, 4 hours, maybe 5, to produce falsified results. Her hands moved across the console. You're not going to turn me in, Jace said. I'm deciding, she lied. They both knew the truth. She'd decided the moment she pulled him from that crash site. Why? He asked again. Talia turned to face him. Because my people are wrong. Because I've studied how humans adapt, how you survive conditions that kill most species. My people fear you because given enough time, you might surpass us. She moved closer. That's the rational explanation. But rationality isn't why you're protecting me, Jace said. No. The attraction between them was chemical, undeniable, completely illogical. She was risking everything for a human she'd known less than 12 hours. Jace reached out slowly, his hand cupping her jaw. The touch burned. Talia, I don't want you hurt because of me. Too late. She closed the distance, her lips finding his in a kiss that tasted like desperation and defiance. His arms came around her, pulling her against that furnace warmth, and her careful control shattered. He kissed like he fought, focused, intense, holding nothing back. His hands traced her spine, and she made a sound she didn't recognize. They broke apart, both breathing hard. Her claws had extended, pricking against his back. 4 hours, she said, forcing herself to think. I need 4 hours to falsify the bioscan results. What do you need from me? Stay hidden and trust me. She began pulling up files, mind-shifting into focused research mode. Falsifying a planetary bioscan required understanding the algorithms, identifying detection gaps, introducing interference patterns that would mask Jace's signature without triggering fraud protocols. He moved behind her, close but not touching. You're brilliant, he said softly. I'm a xenobotanist. This is outside my expertise. Adapting. She glanced back, caught his smile. Maybe I'm learning from the best. They worked together for hours. He proved useful at identifying security blind spots. Black Ops training included electronic warfare. They talked while they worked. She learned about Earth, about oceans she'd only seen in images. He learned about her world, about the caste system that valued military over science, about why she'd chosen isolation. By the time she transmitted the falsified results, the sun hung low outside. The acknowledgement ping arrived within minutes. Her fabricated data had passed. "We're clear," she said, "for now." Jace stood behind her chair, his hands resting on her shoulders. She leaned back into the touch. "Thank you," he said. "Don't thank me yet. They'll send someone to verify, probably within a day or two. When they do, we'll handle it." Outside, the forest darkened toward night. Inside her station, hidden from both their worlds, they'd bought themselves borrowed time. And Talia intended to make every second count. 3 days passed like stolen moments outside of time. Talia woke to the smell of something burning. She found Jace in her kitchen area, scowling at a smoking pan. "Attempting breakfast," he said, failing spectacularly. She moved past him, salvaging what she could. Their hands brushed, sparking that constant current between them. Small touches that lingered, glances that said more than words. They ate together on her observation deck. The forest below teemed with morning life. "Tell me about your investigation," she said, "the real reason you were here." 6 months ago, a colony called New Haven went silent. Then it happened again, 3 colonies, all in this region. His jaw tightened. "I volunteered to investigate. Command seemed too enthusiastic." "They wanted you gone," Talia said. "I'd been asking questions about missing supplies, about why we kept losing settlements." He turned to her. "They sabotaged my ship the moment I jumped into this system." "Your people and mine," she said quietly, "working together, using you as bait." "Were using me." His hand found hers, "because I found something they didn't plan on. You." She should deflect, maintain distance. Instead, she laced her fingers through his. "I need to show you something," she said. She led him to her secure terminal, pulling up classified files. Removal operation logs, target coordinates, casualty estimates, 3 human colonies, eliminated with clinical efficiency. She watched his face as he read. His jaw worked, hands curling into fists, but when he looked at her, there was no accusation. "You didn't know," he said. "I knew there were operations. I just never thought about the faces, the families." "You're thinking about them now. That's what matters." His hand came to rest on her shoulder. "Jace," she started. He kissed her before she could finish, deep and demanding. She responded with equal hunger, her hands fisting in his shirt. They stumbled backward, her spine hitting the wall. His mouth moved to her throat, finding where her pulse hammered. "We shouldn't," she managed. "I know." Neither of them stopped. His hands traced her curves through her clothes. She pulled at his shirt, needing skin contact, needing his heat. They made it to her quarters somehow, a tangle of desperate kisses and grasping hands. Her clothes joined his on the floor. He laid her on the sleeping platform, his weight settling over her. Every touch felt like claiming, like defiance against the forces trying to tear them apart. She wrapped herself around him, and they moved together until the world narrowed to just sensation and breath, and the feeling of being completely alive. Afterward, they lay tangled together, her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat slow. "This is madness," she whispered. "Best kind." The alarm shattered their peace. Talia bolted upright, reading the proximity alert. A transport had entered her research zone. Her security sensors showed it landing near her entrance. She pulled up the feed, her blood went cold. Velmoth, her rival from the Planetary Research Institute. "Stay in the back lab," she ordered Jace. "Don't make a sound." He nodded, understanding. She watched him disappear, then activated the seal. The door would appear as solid wall to inspection. She smoothed her expression and opened her station's entrance. Velmoth stood on her platform, golden eyes scanning with open disdain. He was younger, ambitious, from a military family that looked down on field researchers. "Velmoth," she said coolly, "this is unexpected." "Is it? I thought I'd inspect your meteor impact site." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "I'll offer assistance." Every instinct screamed danger. "That's unnecessary." "I insist." He moved past her, uninvited. Talia followed, her tail lashing. He examined her equipment, her samples, her terminals. Searching. "You've been quite busy," he said, reading her reports. Almost obsessively thorough. I'm a xenobotanist, thoroughness is required. He activated her bioscan logs, studying the readings she'd fabricated. Interesting interference patterns, almost like something was blocking the scan in Sector 7. Her heart hammered. Mineral deposits, common in this region. Are they? He pulled up a geological survey, comparing. Triumph flickered across his features. Sector 7 shows no significant mineral density, so what could cause such interference? Talia's mind raced. Behind the sealed lab door, Jace was hidden, but Velmoth was thorough. You're harboring something, Velmoth said softly. Aren't you? She watched him reach for his comm unit, watched him begin to trigger a planetary alert. She made her choice. She moved like her ancestors, pure predatory speed. Her hand closed on his wrist before he could complete the call. He tried to pull free, surprise flashing to alarm. Talia, what are you? She struck his throat, precise and brutal. He staggered, gasping. She swept his legs, driving him to the floor. He clawed at her, drawing blood, but she was stronger, faster. I'm sorry, she whispered. Then she snapped his neck. The crack echoed in the silence. Velmoth's body went limp. Talia knelt over him, breathing hard, blood smearing her skin. She'd just killed one of her own people. The lab seal released. Jace emerged, taking in the scene with quick assessment. He crossed to her, crouching beside her. Are you hurt? He asked. She looked at her hands, at the blood staining her claws. I killed him. You protected us. They'll know. He filed a flight plan. When he doesn't return, they'll investigate. Jace's hands framed her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. We handle this together. But there was no handling this. Velmoth's death would trigger immediate response. Planetary security would descend within hours. She looked at Jace, at this human who'd crashed into her world and turned it into chaos. She should regret protecting him. She didn't. They're coming, she said, certainty settling over her. My people. They'll send hunters. Then we get ready. Jace pulled her to her feet. You know this terrain better than anyone. We use that. Talia looked around her station at 3 years of careful research at the life she'd built. She was about to burn it all down. For him. My research zone, she said slowly, her mind already working. I've spent years cataloging every species, mapping every ecosystem. I know which plants are poisonous, which predators respond to specific pheromones, which sections are lethal without proper countermeasures. Understanding dawned in Jace's expression. You're going to weaponize your own research. Yes. She stepped away from Velmoth's body, leaving that version of herself behind. If they want to hunt us, they'll learn what it means to enter my territory. Outside, storm clouds gathered. Inside, Talia began preparations for war. The alarm wailed 3 hours after Velmoth's death. 4 military transports descended toward her research zone. Talia watched them deploy in a perimeter pattern, professional, coordinated. Hunting party, she said. 8 operators, maybe 10. Jace checked the plasma rifle she'd given him. They'll sweep from the perimeter inward. Not if we control the terrain. She pulled up a holographic map of her research zone. Her fingers traced zones marked in red. These sections are predator territories I've been monitoring but never entered. You're going to lead them into a killing field. I'm going to make them regret coming here. They'd spent 3 hours preparing. Pheromone grenades synthesized from her samples. Toxin dispersal pods, remote triggers placed throughout the forest. Her station had become an armory. They slipped out through her secondary exit as the sun dipped below the canopy. Behind them, she heard the hunters entering her station, the sounds of equipment being destroyed, terminals accessed, methodical violation of her sanctuary. Let them search. Let them find Velmoth's body and confirm what they suspected. Then they'd come hunting. How far? Jace whispered. 2 kilometers natural choke point ahead. She glanced at him. You've done this before. Different planet, same principle. His hand found hers briefly. Don't take unnecessary risks. That's rich, coming from the man who crashed into a hostile world. I didn't have a choice then, you do now. Talia stopped, turned to face him. The forest glowed around them, blue-green light painting his features. No, I don't. Not anymore. She kissed him hard and brief, tasting determination and fear, then pulled away, leading them deeper. They reached the grove as darkness descended. Ancient trees created a natural amphitheater, 3 narrow entry points, perfect for an ambush. Talia activated her first triggers. Pheromone dispersal along the northern approach, keyed to attract native predators, 6-legged hunters with venomous claws. She'd tracked their territory for 2 years. Now she was ringing the dinner bell. "They're coming," Jace said, reading his scanner. 4 contacts approaching from the west. The hunters emerged with tactical precision, weapons raised. Their leader wore commander markings. "Captain Revan, researcher Talia," he called out. "You're harboring a human fugitive. Surrender him, and we'll show leniency." She laughed, sharp and feral. "Leniency? After you destroyed my station?" "You killed a fellow citizen, betrayed your own people. There's no coming back from that." "I know." She triggered the toxin pods. They erupted along the western approach, releasing concentrated aerosol from nightshade blooms. The compound burned exposed skin, interfered with vision. The hunters scattered too, dropping to their knees. Jace fired from his position. 1 hunter went down, armor smoking. The others returned fire, and the grove erupted into chaos. Talia moved like liquid shadow, enhanced night vision, predatory reflexes, intimate knowledge of terrain. She dropped from a branch onto a hunter's back, her claws finding armor gaps. He screamed. She silenced him with brutal efficiency. 2 down. Revan barked orders, his team adapting. They fell back, regrouping. The native predators arrived. The pheromones had worked. 6 creatures burst from the undergrowth, all snapping jaws and venomous claws, driven into frenzy. 1 hunter went down screaming. Another fired wildly, backing away. Chaos consumed the organized assault. Talia found Jace pressed against a tree trunk, covering his sector. Blood ran down his temple from a near miss. "You're hurt," she said. "Graze you?" "Fine." She wasn't. Her ribs ached from a glancing blow. "They'll call for reinforcements." "Then we keep moving, make them chase us deeper." They ran through the forest, leaving the grove's carnage behind. Behind them, Revan rallied what remained of his team. The predators would slow them, not stop them. They emerged near Sector 7, where forest gave way to wetlands. Stagnant pools reflected moonlight, the air buzzing with insects. Dangerous territory. 3 species of venomous amphibians lived in these waters. "We cross here," she said. "Stay on the roots, the water is toxic." They picked their way across, using exposed root systems as bridges. Halfway through, her sensors chimed. The hunters had caught up. Plasma fire scorched the air. Jace returned fire while Talia triggered concentrated predator scent bombs. The smell would mark the hunters as threats to territorial species. "Contact!" Jace shouted. A hunter flanked them, emerging from the north. Talia moved to intercept, but her foot slipped on the wet root. She fell, crashed into shallow water. Pain exploded through her side as toxins burned her skin. The hunter raised his weapon. Jace tackled him with brutal force. They grappled, falling into the water together. The hunter thrashed, screaming as toxins ate through his armor seals. Jace dragged himself out, coughing, his skin blistering. Talia pulled herself up, ignoring the burning pain. She grabbed Jace, hauling him onto solid ground, his face twisted with agony. "Keep going," he gasped. "Not without you." She pulled his arm over her shoulders, supporting his weight. They stumbled into the forest. Behind them, Revan's voice called out, closer than before. They couldn't run much further, both injured, hunters relentless. Unless she gave them something bigger to worry about. "There's a grove 2 kilometers east," she said, "nesting ground for razorhawks, apex predators. If we trigger a defense response..." "They'll attack everything in the area," Jace finished. He looked at her through pain-clouded eyes. "Including us." "I can navigate their territory. I've mapped their nesting patterns." She gripped him tighter. "Trust me." "Always." They changed direction, heading east. The hunters followed. Talia counted at least 5 still operational. The razorhawk nesting grove announced itself through bones scattered at its perimeter. The massive birds roosted in the canopy, metallic plumage catching moonlight. Talia armed her last pheromone grenades, modified to emit distress calls. She scattered them along the grove's southern edge. "When they trigger," she told Jace, "we go north, fast." The hunters entered 30 seconds later, Revan in the lead, weapon raised. His team spread out. The grenades detonated. The sound from the canopy was prehistoric rage. Razor hawks descended like living missiles, talons extended. The grove became a killing field. Talia pulled Jace into motion, running through the chaos. A hawk dove at them. She ducked, feeling wind from its wings. They burst through the northern edge as screams echoed behind. They didn't stop until the sounds faded. Finally, in a small clearing, they collapsed. Jace was breathing hard, his skin blistered. Talia's injuries throbbed with each heartbeat. "Did we lose them?" Jace asked. Talia checked her scanner, multiple contacts in the grove, some moving, some still, but no pursuit heading their direction. They sat in darkness listening to the forest. Somewhere distant, transport engines. Reinforcements arriving. Jace's hand found hers, their fingers interlacing despite the pain. "I'm sorry," he said. "For what?" "For crashing into your world. For destroying everything you built." Talia looked at him, at this human who'd become worth more than everything she'd sacrificed. She leaned in, pressed her forehead against his. "You didn't destroy anything," she said quietly. "You showed me what was worth fighting for." In the distance, more alarms sounded. The hunt wasn't over. But sitting here with Jace, their blood mixing on their joined hands, Talia felt something she'd never experienced in her ordered, logical life. She felt alive. They had maybe an hour before reinforcements found them. Talia used the time to treat their injuries. She cleaned the toxin burns on Jace's arms, watching him bite back pain. "We can't keep running," he said. "I know," she pressed a regenerative patch against his worst burn. "They'll saturate the forest. We'd last maybe another day." "So what's the play?" Talia sat back, her mind working through impossible scenarios. Every option ended with capture or death, except one. "I make them an offer they can't refuse." She pulled out her comm unit. Her fingers hesitated over the controls. "Talia," Jace said, "what are you planning?" "Something desperate." She looked at him. "Trust me one more time?" His hand covered hers, always. "There's a biological research station 3 sectors north, highly classified, where my people store atmospheric terraforming agents, toxins that could sterilize entire continents." Her voice dropped. "I'm going to threaten to release them." "Can you actually breach it?" "No, the containment protocols are too advanced, but my people don't know that." She activated the comm. "I'm betting they won't risk calling my bluff." She keyed the frequency. "This is researcher Talia to Planetary Command." Static, then a voice she knew too well. "Commander Ashira." "Talia, you've caused quite the disturbance." "Commander." The title tasted bitter. "I assume you're aware of my situation." "You killed Velmoth, harbored a human fugitive, led our hunters into ambushes." Ashira's voice remained clinical. "I trained you better than this. You trained me to think critically, to question." Talia's grip tightened. "Did you know about the removal operations? About the collaboration with Human Command?" Silence. Then, "The Council decided humans represent an existential threat. The operations were necessary." "Genocide is never necessary. Your emotional attachment has blinded you. Our species' survival depends on controlling humanity's spread." Talia looked at Jace. "Maybe that's not a threat. Maybe that's evolution." "Philosophy from a traitor." Ashira's tone hardened. "Surrender the human. Face your judgment with dignity." "I have a counteroffer. I'm currently 3 kilometers from Research Station Omega-7. I know what you keep there. Biological weapons. Enough toxins to devastate this continent." The lie came smooth. "I've studied your containment protocols. Thanks to you, I have the access codes. So here's my offer. You let us leave this planet, or I trigger a containment failure." "You're bluffing." "I killed Velmoth, led your hunters into traps that killed how many?" Talia's voice went cold. "You taught me that survival requires ruthlessness. I learned well." Long silence. When Ashira spoke again, her voice carried uncertainty. "Even if you could breach Omega-7, the failsafes would trigger. You'd die with everyone else." "Yes." That single word carried absolute commitment. Jace's hand squeezed hers. You're willing to die for a human, Ashira said, sadness threading through her words. I'm willing to die for what's right. Transport engines roared overhead. Talia's scanner lit up with dozens of contacts. They were surrounded. You have 1 minute to decide, Talia said. Stand down or I walk into that facility. Talia, wait, there's another option. I'm listening. We have a human extraction ship in orbit, captured 3 months ago, still functional. A pause. We let you both board it. You leave this system, never return. Talia's heart hammered. And you become an example. The council will broadcast your crimes. You'll be exiled, your name stripped from every record. You'll be erased from our history. The price of survival, everything she'd worked for, wiped away. She looked at Jace. He looked back, the same answer in his eyes that lived in her chest. Deal? The ship is at coordinates I'm transmitting now. You have 2 hours. The comm went dead. New coordinates appeared 17 kilometers northwest. The soldiers around them held position but didn't advance. Can you run? She asked Jace. With you, yes. They ran. The forest blurred around them. Talia pushed past exhaustion, past pain. Beside her, Jace matched her pace, breathing labored but steady. The landing coordinates appeared in a clearing. A ship sat waiting, human design, sleek despite damage. The boarding ramp was down. They stumbled up the ramp. Talia sealed the hatch. The cockpit was functional, systems powering up. Can you fly this? Jace asked, dropping into the co-pilot seat. I'm a xenobotanist, not a pilot. I'm a pilot, with toxin burns covering your arms. Then we'll figure it out together. They worked the controls in tandem, her reading the interface, him translating to flight protocols. The engines screamed to life. Outside, transport ships maintained distance, weapons trained but not firing. Ashira was keeping her word. The ship lifted, cleared the canopy, accelerated toward orbit. The planet fell away beneath them, violet and gold and beautiful. Talia watched it shrink, this world she'd devoted her life to studying, now lost forever. Any regrets? Jace asked quietly. She turned to look at him, this human who'd crashed into her world and transformed everything. No, she said, not one. He reached for her, and she came to him, careful of his burns. They held each other as the ship broke atmosphere, as stars appeared in the darkness. Where do we go? She asked. Frontier space, beyond the borders, places where 2 people can disappear. His hand traced her jaw. Build something new. Something better. Together. She kissed him, deep and fierce, tasting victory and the beginning of something neither could name. Outside, her world receded into memory. Ahead, the vast unknown stretched endless. The comm crackled. Ashira's voice came through one last time. Talia, I hope he's worth it. He is, and Commander, thank you. Don't thank me. Just survive. Show us we were wrong. The connection severed. Jace set coordinates for the frontier jump points. They worked in comfortable silence, 2 people who'd learned to communicate in looks and touches and shared survival. The jump drive spun up. In moments, they'd leave this system behind. Ready? Jace asked. Talia looked at him, at their joined hands on the controls, at the future unfolding before them. She'd lost everything, except the one thing that mattered. Ready. The stars stretched into lines of light, and they leaped into darkness together, 2 souls bound by choice, by sacrifice, by the kind of love that burned hot enough to forge new worlds. Behind them, her planet continued its rotation. Her name began its erasure from history, but she'd left them something they couldn't erase, proof that their prejudices were wrong. She'd shown them what it meant to fight for something bigger than survival. She'd shown them love.